Last season, there were only 5 players in the entire NBA to average at least 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. 3 guys on that list are elite All-NBA talents in Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic, while one is a perennial All-Star in Domantas Sabonis, which is why it might be shocking for some people to hear that the other guy to complete that list is a 20-year-old second-year player who's not even the number 1 option for his team, and that is OKC Thunder guard Josh Giddey. Well, last season, the 6'8" guard averaged a well-rounded 16.6 points, together with almost 8 rebounds and more than 6 assists per game on shooting splits, which are also significant improvements from that of his rookie season. But what's even more impressive is that just a few months after the season ended, Giddey continued to show signs of potential future star power at the 2023 FIBA World Cup as mostly the top scoring option for his home country of Australia. And although Australia failed to advance past the second round of the tournament, Giddey has emerged as one of the best young players at the world stage by putting up one of the most well-rounded stat lines in the entire tournament with 19.4 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds in 5 games. But again, more than the numbers, I think what really stood out in the World Cup has been Giddey's efficiency, as during the 5 games he played, Giddey shot 54.2% from the field on more than 14 shot attempts per game, which is the 6th most efficient mark in the entire World Cup, even ranking ahead of guys like Nikola Vucevic and Lauri Markkanen. Plus, Giddey also registered a 19.0 individual efficiency rating, which is also the 19th best mark in the entire FIBA World Cup, putting him ahead of guys like Rudy Gobert and Jonas Valanciunas. Well, those numbers already say a lot about Giddey's growth, but I think the eye test actually shows a lot more. So in this video, let's dive more into the film to get a glimpse of why this version of Josh Giddey could take the OKC Thunder to a whole nother level next season. So let's get to it. With the OKC Thunder's 5-out offense heavily relying on the downhill driving ability of their ball handlers, the driving component of Josh Giddey's offense will always be one of the most crucial parts of his game. And last season, even with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander once again leading the NBA in drives per game for the 3rd straight year, Josh Giddey was also a downhill force for OKC himself, as he averaged 12.4 drives per game, which was the 28th most in the entire NBA. But at the same time, Giddey also attempted 6.3 shots coming off those drives, which was also a significant increase from his rookie season. So basically, as a second-year player, Giddey just displayed more comfort and aggressiveness in terms of getting downhill, as he was able to leverage his 6'8" frame together with a much tighter handle to create initial advantages when he attacked the paint. But the problem was, because Giddey still lacked an explosive first step as well as elite verticality, he still oftentimes lost the initial off-the-dribble advantages he created once he got into the paint, especially when bigger defenders met him near the basket. Well, to be fair, Giddey shot 62% at the rim last season, which was a 5% improvement from his rookie year. But overall, Giddey's field goal percentage at the rim only ranked in the 32nd percentile among all 51 players to average at least 10 drives per game last season. But at the FIBA World Cup, I think what's really been noticeable has been how Giddey's just added another extra layer of comfort and aggressiveness to his drives. Well, he's still not blowing by defenders in a huge way, but I think he just looks a bit quicker while also having a lot more juice off the dribble when attacking defenders, especially out of ball screens. But most importantly, when he drives, he's also been doing a better job of protecting the ball with his shoulder, while also utilizing some spin moves and euro steps down the lane for him to generate more high percentage shots near the basket. Here, as Giddey sees Duop Reath approaching with a high screen, he quickly uses his position to create an advantage on the driving lane. The big man defender traps him on the nail, but watch Giddey counter it with a nice spin move before he uses his length to finish at the basket. Then again here, Giddey operates off the pick and roll. Once the screener makes contact with his defender, Giddey starts his attack. His defender is able to stay in front of him, but watch Giddey with the change of pace and the Euro step as he makes the easy finish. Overall, during the FIBA World Cup, Giddey produced 0.7 points per drive, which might not look like a lot, but it was actually the 11th best mark in the entire tournament. Plus, a huge 62% of Giddey's field goals came from within 5 feet of the basket, and he actually drained a solid 61.7% of those shots, which also ranked as the 15th best mark in the entire FIBA World Cup. The thing is, with Josh Giddey bringing this type of improved efficiency and confidence with his driving game to the NBA, the hope is that this would also lead to more opportunities for him at the free throw line. Because despite being the second most frequent driver for the OKC Thunder, Giddey only averaged less than 2 free throw attempts per game, which was the third worst free throw attempt average among all 51 high-volume drivers in the NBA last season. Well, a key component of Giddey being able to hunt for shooting fouls is his ability to initiate contact when he gets into the paint, which hasn't really been the strongest part of his game so far. Though what's actually intriguing is that among the 81 times he was fouled in the act of shooting last season, Giddey actually converted 31 of those shots, which was the 13th best conversion rate among all players that were fouled at least 20 times in the act of shooting. So to me, this suggests that the strength is definitely there for Giddey, and it's just a matter of how much more contact he can absorb when he gets deep into the paint. Though in the FIBA World Cup, it looks like Giddey's just been doing a better job of inviting contact when he drives while also being able to finish on top of it. Here you can see Giddey receiving the dribble handoff and just watch how he bulldozes his way into the lane, asserting himself against the contact from the defender as he finishes the and one. Then this time, Giddey catches the defender on an island. He puts his head down and drives to the right before the quick sidestep to the left as he finishes the bank shot over his defender. Overall, in the FIBA World Cup, Giddey averaged a solid 5.2 free throw attempts per contest, and while it's based on a small sample size of 5 games, it's still more than double what he attempted from the foul line in OKC last season. So definitely, Giddey maintaining this kind of aggressiveness in terms of finishing plays against contact should only help him manufacture more points, especially with him being a solid 72% free throw shooter for his career. But also, another interesting part of Giddey's game has been his off-ball attacking. Giddey always had a knack for finding open lanes and cutting into the basket for easy scoring chances, and last season, he averaged the 28th most shot attempts coming off cuts to the basket in the entire NBA, while also shooting a highly efficient 60.2% on those cuts, most of which came from his signature mid-range floaters. And in the World Cup, Giddey has continued to display his off-ball cutting ability, taking advantage of solid playmaking teammates like Patty Mills and Joe Ingles. But this time, instead of settling for floaters, Giddey just showed more willingness in terms of cutting hard directly to the basket to be able to get higher percentage looks. Here, while Patty Mills is running a side pick and roll play, you can see Giddey stationed at the corner. Then once Mills starts attacking the screen coverage, watch how Giddey takes advantage of his napping defender with a quick cut before he elevates for the poster dunk. Then right here, you can see Xavier Cooks and Joe Ingles running a side handoff action, but from the weak side, you can see Giddey catching another defender with his back turned, so he goes for the beautiful back cut and the reverse finish at the rim. Well, for sure, maintaining this kind of off-ball attacking aggression in OKC next season will continue to be very useful for Giddey while he's playing with a high ball usage guard like SGA, especially with Giddey's outside shot still looking like an area for development. Well, the thing is, in the World Cup, with him being more of an on-ball initiator, as well as with Australia's plethora of floor spacers, Giddey wasn't really required to be a shooting threat off the catch. At the World Cup, Giddey only made 2 3-point shots, but also on a small sample size of 12 attempts, which made it hard for him to establish any sort of shooting rhythm. Although last season in OKC, Giddey made 33.7% of all his catch-and-shoot attempts from the 3-point line, which was a more than 9% improvement from his catch-and-shoot 3-point mark the previous season. So while Giddey's still not a consistent above league average shooting threat off the catch, his efficiency and volume are still definitely trending towards him becoming solid from that area. But again, Giddey isn't even expected to score a lot for OKC, as his biggest strength still lies in his elite playmaking. What I really find interesting though is that despite him mainly being used by OKC as a secondary playmaker, Giddey still ranked in the top 20 of most passing metrics in the entire NBA last season, including assists per game, passes made per game, and potential assists per game. Plus, in OKC, Giddey has time and again displayed the ability to use his elite feel for the game and quick decision making to hit teammates with some ridiculously good passes even without him having to attack driving lanes. But in the World Cup, given a higher on-ball usage role with Australia, Giddey displayed how he's able to combine his downhill aggressiveness with his playmaking genius to manipulate defenders whenever he drove to the paint. Here, Giddey starts operating off the ball screen, and as he gets the switch, watch how he hits his defender with a crossover and a hesitation dribble. His downhill threat forces 3 guys to clog off his driving lane, but Giddey uses this to set up the sneaky bounce pass to the cutting Jack White. Then here, Giddey again does a great job of reacting to the screen coverage. Upon seeing the slight opening, he attacks the big man drop defender. He gets walled off, but he maneuvers and pivots to the right to set up Nick K for the easy finish right under the basket. Well, to be honest, this defensive manipulation element of Josh Giddey's playmaking has always been present for him, but the reason it hasn't really popped off that much is because in OKC, Giddey never really played with a legitimate ball-screening big man who can finish off the tight playmaking windows that he creates. But now you can just imagine how much more dreadful for defenses Giddey's playmaking in OKC would be, especially now with the arrival of Chet Holmgren, a 7'1" big man who can finish plays at a high level by either rolling to the rim or popping out to the three-point line. Which then brings us to the bigger picture, because with this young OKC team already looking primed for a return to the NBA playoffs, the expectations for Josh Giddey on his third NBA season definitely just got bigger, especially with him being eligible for a potential max extension next summer. But with the sneak peek he's given us during the World Cup, I think Josh Giddey exceeding those expectations doesn't totally seem to be far off. So thank you guys if you've actually made it to the end of the video, and what are your actual expectations for Josh Giddey next season? Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and again, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well. Again, this has been Reroll Balls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.